Two. Okay.
Hey, everybody. This is People of Substance by LemonSkies. I'm Olga Waldman, and my guest today is Taylor Shanklin. And before I let you introduce yourself, I've been trying to get you for a while. We've been missing each other, and then I had to bail, and I've been dying to have you as one of my guests. So, Taylor is the founder of a company called Barlelli. I'm mispronouncing it.
It's
And
okay. It's a weird name.
and sister company Creative Shizzle, which she can explain. So please say hi and explain who you are and what you do.
Hey, Olga. It's good to be here. I know we razz each other on LinkedIn quite a bit, so it's nice to actually finally get together and talk a little bit more in person. I'm Taylor. I am the founder and CEO of Barlele, which is a boutique branding and content agency. And we have a product line called Creative Shizzle, which is graphic design on demand. So unlimited graphic design, as much design as you need done, send it to us and we will kind of take that part of it.
Design is designing.
Design. And I just tell people I make things pretty.
Yes, you do. So let me just kind of jump right in with an easy softball. I think there's been jokes floating around about English majors, and you were an English major for your undergrad. I've been sniffing. So can you talk a little bit about how you ended up where you ended up?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's fun. It's funny. It feels a little bit like a snowball. You know, you kind of go do a thing and then you fall into a thing and then you fall into a thing and then you fall into another thing. So I originally went to school to be in music and music business. And I don't know, just ended up in a place where, what are you supposed to do? Figure out your life when you're 18, 19, 20 years old? So unrealistic.
Right.
And I kind of fumbled around a little bit my first year and then my second year and just kept doing all of the core classes. And then finally was like, I have to pick something. And I like creative writing and always loved copywriting. I did a lot of, lyrics writing, poetry when I was younger, stuff like that. So I just decided, well, I'll get an English major. It'll be something. And that's what my dad always told me. He was like, just get something. If you can't figure it out right now, just finish your degree, get something and start doing something. And so that's how I ended up with an English degree.
Well, and in this day and age, if you can write well, you will find a job. It's remarkable how many people don't enjoy or cannot write.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when I kind of decided I'm not sure if I'm going to do this music thing. And I did work in the music industry for a little while. Then I decided I wanted to pay my bills and needed a real job. It's kind of schlepping it, working with bands and stuff like that. And that can work out great for some people. But I kind of decided I want to get a little bit more technical, really want to try to figure out how can I go make an actual career. Yeah. And so I actually went to graduate school after maybe a year or so out of being out of undergrad and got a mass communications degree. Mm-hmm. With my writing, I'd always really been interested in copywriting and advertising. And so it kind of took me a long time to get to where I am now, where I actually do run a branding agency where we do a lot of copywriting and messaging and, ads essentially. But I kind of got into the mass communication and media world through getting a technical mass comm degree where I learned HTML and CSS and programming and a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that in the world of marketing. That took me into the work in nonprofit tech. And that sort of just, like I said, kind of put me into one thing and then one thing and then one thing. And then eventually I got back around to the fact that I really want to be like Mad Men and advertising and thinking about the cool, funny quips and the headlines. That's what I want to do and really want to focus on. And so when I started my company, I said, I want to do a branding company.
That's your jam. So there's a lot of facets to branding. And there's one particular question I want to talk about. I've heard you speak on this, and I have personally just a lot of affinity. Color. Mm-hmm. Can we talk about color? And first of all, why is color important in brand? And how did you end up? Your colors are very bright and vibrant. Purple kind of stands out in my mind. So how do you stand out? Like, how's your purple different from the Alzheimer's Association purple, right?
Yeah.
So why purple?
Yeah. Why purple? I feel like purple is a color that stands out because not a lot of people use it in branding. I'm a big fan of Seth Godin and the Purple Cow, so maybe that has something to do with it, more like subconsciously. I think color is important for any brand when you're thinking about what kind of personality and emotions are you trying to evoke in people with your brand. And so for me, our core color is purple. It's a brighter color than the Alzheimer's Association purple, as an example. And then we've got accent colors of yellow, so kind of similar to you, kind of a lemony yellow. And then with Creative Shizzle, we've got pink and orange and like bright, vibrant colors. I chose those colors, one, because the art of branding is about standing out and making people just getting people's attention. Mm-hmm. So I use color to get attention, but also it really correlates to kind of like my values and who I am and who I wanted the brand to be. And that is like bright and joyful and happy and fun. And we're not boring, and we're going to be bold, and we're going to take some risks. And so to me, like, those colors say those things. And that's what I think, why I think color is so important. So with your brand, when you're thinking about what colors to use, like, well, what are you trying to communicate to people? And color is a way to communicate.
I don't know if I've shared this with you, but yellow came before LemonSkies.
Did it?
Skies, mm-hmm. Oh. LemonSkies stemmed from the yellow, not yellow from LemonSkies. So.
Okay, cool. So you just always liked yellow. I like yellow. I've got it in my background there.
I like it, but it was really more approaching it from the perspective of wanting something that's positive and sunny and uplifting. So it's you wouldn't see a lot of yellow in my house, actually. But kind of what I wanted to represent. So
it is positive.
So let me jump in on, you did something that seems to me very scary. Mm-hmm. You were, a couple of years ago, you were a speaker at a TEDx conference, a TEDx talk. So, I love doing interviews. I love talking to people, but the idea of walking out on stage and speaking for 17 minutes without usually slides is a little bit terrifying. So I want to ask you, like, what prompted that? Can you share a little bit about, did you just wake up one day and said, I'm going to do a TED Talk?
I don't know. It was maybe an idea that just came to me a little bit more over time. And one of those ideas where you think about it more, and then you think about it more, and you're like, I have to do that. It's just on my list. Mm-hmm. And then you're focused on how can I do that and how can I get there. It's the day before, I was just over and over again, like, reading my talk on a piece of paper, just trying to like commit it to memory as much as you can. So that part is the scariest part, because before that I was used to presenting with slides where, like, I even in my presentations, I do just like a big picture, but the big picture makes me remember what I need to say. And so, like, even though I'm not necessarily like reading off of a deck or reading off of note cards, like I'm prompting myself. And that was a big difference, not having those prompts. Why did I do it? I don't know. I'm a glutton for punishment, I guess. I don't know. Sometimes I get these ideas. I'm like, I should do that. And then, like, how would I do that? And then happened to find someone in my network in the philanthropy space who ran a TEDx and said, can I talk at your TEDx? Yeah, sure. There's actually one coming up, and like, you got to go apply. And so I just kind of went through the application process, and then I was accepted, and then it was happening all of a sudden. And, it's one of those things sometimes where you do actually sit there and you're like, how did I even get here? I don't know. It's a lot of baby steps to one point.
Have people been reaching out to you about your speech, or, how did you get a reaction? I mean, you've had quite a bit of traffic on it.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten a good reaction. It's like, the funniest thing is people who know me, and then they don't know that, and then they find out and they're like, you have a TED Talk? I'm like, oh, it's a TEDx, and then they say, oh, I went and watched it or whatever. So yeah, I mean, honestly, like, part of me wanting to do it was to just like continue to spread a message that I think is important in the world for us as humans or as business owners, or just like anyone who feels really bogged down by the current, monotony of the hustle and like feeling like I have to do all of these things. I'm just really, really passionate about saying you don't have to do all of these things. And there's another way to do these things. And you can do what you want and say no to stuff that you don't want in your life. And so that's a message that I want to continue spreading in the world. And I thought if I have a TEDx talk, it'll give me some credibility behind, continuing to spread that message.
And that's a really fundamentally, it shouldn't be a groundbreaking idea, but it is.
Yeah.
You get to choose what you want to do.
Yeah. Well, it's not groundbreaking. That's what's funny. I mean, I was telling you before we talked, I'm like, I'm not really a person of substance. I'm kind of basic, Olga, honestly. Like, and
I mean, she plays the fiddle. She worked with the band. She started the company. Yeah, no big deal.
No, I'm more basic than you think. But the idea is not that complicated. It's really a simple idea. I think the complicated part for us is implementation of the idea. So the more that you can get that kind of an idea out there in front of people, the easier it becomes to start taking like one little step here and one little step there to actually implement living your life that way. If that's what you want.
Yeah. Well, especially for those of us who have children or caregiving, just all the different competing priorities and demanding jobs, that puts us in a really, we're stretched thin.
Well, and I feel like I've seen what the hustle does to people, and I've experienced it personally in my life and realized that didn't make me any happier or anyone who I get caught up in that any happier. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's part of the mantra as well, is to say like, it's not everything.
Yeah, I've noticed there's a few words that have been emerging and popular: hustling and grinding and shredding, like just very aggressive, very,
Yeah. My son says that sometimes when he's like, down in his room, like playing video games. He's a teenager now. And sometimes I'm like, what have you been doing down here all night? He's like, I'm grinding like on Fortnite with my friends online. And I'm like, how about you take a break?
Yeah. Let me know how that works out.
Yeah. I'll keep you posted.
So you've alluded to this at the top of the hour. You and I have gotten to know each other sort of casually through primarily social media, but we have a lot of people we have in common. And, we've been participating in this happy hour kind of networking thing that we both participate in virtually. I think, you and I have talked about kind of finding your people and finding that, if not support network, but like-minded loose cohort of individuals. So can you talk a little bit about that, especially as a founder?
Yeah. I think a lot of the ways that I have found people has been on LinkedIn, and that's how we found each other. So like that one particular platform is one that's worked well for me to find community and to find like other, like in particular, other kind of business owners or consultants or just people who like we kind of think alike professionally. Mm-hmm. And then I think a lot of times when you find commonalities there, you find commonalities in other places. So for me, it's particularly, there goes my dog outside, particularly with just networking over the last few years, like when COVID hit, as an example. Like I used to go out and be on the conference circuit a lot, and like that was a way to kind of find my people. And then COVID hit and you're all online all the time. And I actually really started hunkering down a little bit more on that like virtual networking and finding some incredible people. One of my best friends in the world now, we met during COVID on a Zoom call. I'm about to go spend some time with her next week, actually. And we collaborate in business a lot. We talk about personal stuff, and we've just become really, really good friends. And we met through another professional connection who we were both friends with that said, y'all need to know each other. The first time we met, after we ended the phone call, we were like, we're probably going to be best friends.
Yeah.
And about 3 years later, we are. So for me, some of that has been online. one of the things I'm trying to get better at is locally networking and meeting more people like in my community. So I live in, it's a little bit challenging sometimes it feels because I live in a small mountain town. It's not just not a huge population here, but there's a startup group here that I have found. I've been to a few of those events. There's a chamber I'm probably going to go get involved in soon. And so trying to find some of those local connections. And then like also just connecting with my people with other moms who are trying to figure out how to deal with their teenage kids, you know? So some of my good friends are also mom friends where we just kind of connect on that level. But then a lot of times we'll take it more into like them talking about business and talking about our careers and talking about those other very non-mom aspects of ourselves.
Yeah, I like what you said about hunkering down and kind of trying to not give in to FOMO, because I mean I hunker down, but it's mostly because I prefer to be at home and not go places that are too people-y.
Hey, I'm gonna let my dog
out. Let the dog out.
Who's gonna lady, come on. I know this is a fun recording scene, lady. I've got this little dachshund. Okay, I put bird seed out on my porch. My porch is right there, right outside my office door. And I put all this bird seed and bird feeders out last weekend. And now it's brought chipmunks. And I have a dachshund, and these dogs are hunting dogs. And she's going crazy now because, like, she knows the chipmunks are out there running around, and she's like, get me out of here.
So we have a bird feeder in our yard, and squirrels were getting to it. So if you grease the pole, you can watch all day those squirrels trying to scramble up and then slowly kind of descending.
So now I have a problem on my hands with like her barking. She used to be a quiet dog while I worked.
Yeah. Oh, well, you'll have to post some pictures. And keep us posted if she catches any.
I hope not. I mean, she does. I've seen her kill, like hunt before, and I'm like, oh, don't do
that. It's a little gross. So final question I wanted to wrap up. We've done a couple times, game of two truth and a lie, but I thought I would straight up ask you, what are some things, 3 or 5, however many you'd like to share, that people may not know about Taylor Shanklin, but you'd like people to be aware of? That they may be personal, they may be professional, like maybe you've competed in speed walking at Junior Olympics. Like, I'm waiting for something to emerge, like nothing will surprise me with you.
Yeah.
What are 3 things about Taylor?
I feel like I have a couple that like are funny, and who knows. Let's see. I mean, like the music thing, I used to do a lot of singing and competition. And so like, I love karaoke. I think I realized one day when I went to music school, there are a lot of people who are a lot better than me. And that was part of my, like, maybe I'll do something else. But I still love that. I'm actually trying to get back into songwriting right now after like a 20-year hiatus. But like kind of lately I've been tapping into myself into that part of myself again recently. Was even playing around with like some funny little like AI music creator tools recently. So I don't know, singing, the karaoke, maybe that's one thing. I don't know. I'm a swimmer. I love swimming. I grew up swimming, so laps. That's kind of like my favorite form of exercise is to go to the pool, get in the pool, swim laps, and you just kind of get into this different space in your mind, where you just feel completely free of like the notifications, and you're just in a completely different world, right? Like you're in the water, and that's that. And that's something that I find pretty relaxing. And let's see, I don't know. I mean, I grew up in Austin, Texas, which is like the hot spot to be in now. And pretty much as soon as it became the hot spot, I was like, I'm getting out of here. So I moved to North Carolina, to a little mountain town. And I've been here for about 5 years now, and probably won't go back to Texas. It's a little hot there.
I was going to say, and you play an instrument, so I feel like a mountain town will let you in. Like that's like price of admission there.
Yeah, I do. I'm trying to get better at that again too. Guitar is something that I did when I was younger, and I'm really terrible. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with that. I'm really not good, but like trying, putting myself back into it.
I was asked to leave the choir as a young child, and I had absolutely no regrets.
Yeah. Oh, one more thing. I'm writing a book.
Oh, what's the book?
Yeah. My book is, I've got the manuscript. I sent my first manuscript back to my publisher a couple months ago. They kind of had to go through their whole editing process. I got it back. I've got like the editing that I kind of like in edit mode now in it with my publishing company. But I'm hoping, and that can take a little while, but I'm hoping that within the next 6 to 9-ish months that we get that thing out. And it's really going to be about kind of this thing in my background called Kindness Camp. And it all kind of relates to my TED Talk and the way that I think about approaching leadership, and a lot of lessons learned I've had in running a company and leading teams of people, and like what actually works and what doesn't actually work. And it's really a lot about what kindness actually is, because I think a lot of people can think like, oh, I'm kind, I'm a nice person. But like in your leadership, like what does that actually mean to your leadership, to yourself, like internal kindness and external kindness. So I'm going to be doing a lot too in that book to kind of break down what kindness actually means. And sometimes it feels like you're being a jerk, but you're being like a kind in like a different kind of a way. So I'm going to be
well, I'm excited to hear more as it becomes, as you're editing and kind of finalizing it. So I think we'll all be looking forward to seeing more from Taylor.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me. Good to see you.
Thanks for being on here. Really appreciate your time.
Sure.